And I tell folks, you got to finish your day before you start your day. So in order to finish your day, you've got to think about at the beginning of the day or the night before, what do I want to achieve tomorrow? What's my goal?
Welcome to the Going North podcast, where you will be encouraged, informed, and empowered to embrace your dreams and advance in life through authorship. I'm your host, best-selling author, certified leadership trainer, and book enthusiast Dom Brightman. Be sure to check out the goods and services for whatever guest, as well as some of the books from yours truly, the host. Now let the fun begin. Today's episode is sponsored by book number 2 from Dom Brightman, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. It is the field guide to help unleash the elite performer that is inside of you. Cop it today on Amazon.com or heading over to dombrightman.com and snag it in book, ebook, and audio book, so that way you can take it on the go and get yourself on the go to your northbound success. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, it's the Going North podcast. And we got another super special, awesome human for you today, my friends. It's right, courtesy of podmatch.com. That's right, indeed. Instead of Matchbox 20, it's Matchbox Pod. Yeah, that's right. And my goodness, the podcast folks been coming through there, but fabulous indeed, because today's guest in particular, that's right indeed, she is a wife and a grandmother, y'all. That's right indeed. Even though she could probably pass for just mother, because she looks so freaking young indeed. And she's an author, speaker, business consultant, as well as a certified, you're the right folks, certified Gallup Certified Strength Coach. And I believe that's actually the first on this podcast. You never really had a certified Gallup certified strength coach on this podcast. So it's definitely a first indeed. So let's give it up for the delightful and wonderful Dana Williams. How you doing today, Dana?
I'm doing great, Dom. Thank you. I love you got this great radio voice. I can hear it. So I'm glad you're doing podcasts because you're using your gift that way. So thank you for having me today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for joining in the unwrapping session.
Yeah. So you mentioned that I was a Clifton Strength Coach. I'm also have been spent about 25 years at Southwest Airlines in leadership. So I learned about Clifton Strengths when I was there as a leader and thought, oh my goodness, if we could have a tool that would help everybody really understand their unique value that they bring to the world. Because that's the biggest problem, right? People don't know what meaningful work they bring and they want to make an impact. They just don't know how. And so when I discovered Clifton Strengths, I was like, oh my goodness, this is an amazing tool. But what I found is most people took the Clifton Strengths assessment and then they put it somewhere in a drawer. You said you took it a while back, right? Yep. And then you just kind of take it and then it just went somewhere and you didn't really think about it anymore?
It comes up every now and then, but it's not, there's never been really, I never thought of it. He's like, oh yeah, let me pull this out again. It's like, it was more of like, oh, this is cool. It makes sense. I'm like, oh, and you're like, all right, now I know why I do certain things and avoid certain things.
Yeah. So we talked about, you have some really great talents, harmony, connectedness, positivity, input, and relator. So we can talk through those and we can talk about how that shows up in your life. I would love to kind of use this opportunity to go, we can go whatever direction you want. It's always fun as a Clifton Strengths certified guide to help and coach to help people. My goal is to help people birth their purpose and use it every day. And that is why I created the Strengths Journal, which is a daily planner where you plan your day based on your strengths. So many people, I don't know if you're this way, Dom, but there's just so much that we're trying to get done every day. And we just keep passing things over from one day to the next day. And we're overwhelmed and we're burned out because we keep trying to do the same thing. And we just can't get off that hamster wheel. Have you found those days like that for you? You were shaking your head, yeah?
Oh, yeah. The to-do list just keeps to-doing.
Yeah. And it never gets better. So with your strengths, you're basically planning your outcome for every day. And I tell folks, you got to finish your day before you start your day. So in order to finish your day, you've got to think about at the beginning of the day or the night before, what do I want to achieve tomorrow? What's my goal? I know we're here on the weekend, which is so sweet of you to be here on the weekend, but normally on a Monday, what is your outcome for Monday when you think about Monday? And then why? And then you've got harmony, connectedness, positivity, input, and relator. So which of those talents are we going to use to help you get what you need done that day? And we're going to pick 3 big things that you're going to do. It might be something you've been procrastinating about that you don't want to do, or you've been stuck because you just keep putting it off. I know I have things like that in my to-do list that I've put off, and I make myself put those on the list once a day and say, okay, I've been procrastinating about this. What strength can I use to make this happen? And so then you can combine some of your strengths to make that happen and get it done and just get it checked off the list. And at the end of the day, really taking time to be grateful for what you achieved that day. And then here's the other secret sauce, is knowing that you learned something new that day. What is something that I can identify that you learned that day, or a fear that you push through that day to make something happen? Because if we're not stepping in our fear, we're not growing. So how do we step into what is something? And so really being able to, with that soundtrack of your head that's telling you stuff all day long and a narrative, right? What is it that we want to tell ourselves at the end of the day that we learned? And it starts with, creating an intention for the day, and then figuring out what that's going to be at the end of the day, and then working the day through those big 3 things you want to get done, and then being grateful, and then recognizing what you learned that day. So it's pretty exciting. But here's the bigger thing I think people don't realize, Tom, is that we are where time comes from, according to Einstein. In other words, we create time. So if I got up early this morning, because I had to get a lot of things done this morning on a Saturday morning, I could have stayed in bed and used that time differently, but I created my time today. And I think if we change our mindset and our narrative of how we look at time, then we get much more productive, more energized, and we're more confident in everything we're doing. So I've just laid a bunch on you about time management and using the Clifton the Strengths Journal. What biggest challenges do you face when you're looking at your time and all the things you've got to do every day?
I view time in multiple ways, actually. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even focus. I don't even focus on trying to manage it. I usually sometimes view time as evil, because it's like, oh yeah, like those last 5 minutes of the shift feel like 5 hours.
Yeah, right. Because it's like it's getting ready to be over, right? It's a mindset thing. And then when you're getting started, you're going to be there for X amount of time at your current job. But I think for you, I love hearing that you have input. And input loves to gather information. It's like a sponge. So see yourself as a sponge. Like right now, you're probably gathering all this stuff, but input needs an output, which is great because you've got this podcast, you've got other places where you could probably talk about what you're learning. You want to make sure you have that in your life. So all the people in my life with input, it's amazing how quickly they can source things, how quickly they have things at the top of their head. And even I love how people with high input they do not want to be caught with not being able to pull something up. Does that sound like you, Dom? Yeah. If
That's
somebody asks
definitely
you,
me.
yeah. So you've probably had this your whole life, right? You've kind of gone through, you've been this way your whole life. These strengths have been with you since you were a child. So it's so interesting when you start learning more about your talents and your Clifton strengths. After you take the assessment, you can go to GallupCliftonStrengths.com and take your assessment. It's like $19 to get your top 5. Once you get your top 5, it'll send you a report and tells you everything about those 5. But here's what's really unique, Dom, is you're 1 in 33 million that have your strengths in this order. So you have harmony, connectedness, positivity, input, and relator. So you're not going to find somebody else with them in that same order. So you could probably tell me stories of when you were a child and you enjoyed gathering information, or a student, or in whether you were junior high, high school, college. These have been with you your whole life. So can you think of times when you were gathering information for people or getting information for people?
Oh yeah, definitely. Funny story pops in my head when I had like a whole giant stack of books in the trunk of the car that snuck in the road trip one time when the family went to South Carolina. And when they opened the trunk, they're like, "Why are there all these books in here?"
And so Dom needed those books. And that's a telltale sign. Usually people with high input have they collect books, they're a collector of things, books, information, resources. Is that you? Do you find yourself collecting a lot of information?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. Since late 2012, especially, like yeah, lots of quotes, a lot of anecdotes, stories. Oh yeah, definitely, lots of stuff.
So Dom, if you're in my peripheral as a close friend, I'm going to lean on you to say, hey, tell me about blah, blah, blah. And you'll probably know something about it, or you'll know how to get that information for me. And that's the other cool thing about realizing we all think we're supposed to be well-rounded as individuals, but we're not. We are supposed to be well-rounded as teammates, partners, people that we work with. So it's okay that I don't have input high. I'm going to lean on Dom to get me my information. And that helps light you up because you're more energized when you're using it. Whereas when I try to do input, it's just not that. It's just not my thing. It's a much lower in my list of 34 talents. You actually have 34 talents. Right now, we're only talking about 5 of them. But, I have input, but it's much lower than yours. So I would lean on you as a partner to do that. How does your harmony show up for you? Is it, you have that number 1.
Oh yeah, definitely with my jokes. Definitely with the jokes, telling jokes, making folks laugh. Indeed, that's right. A pun. Sometimes folks jokingly say that my superpower is to turning anything into a pun out of nowhere, just finding a reach. Like my,
Ah,
like with. Funny enough, one of my colleagues from a day job yesterday was like, "Yeah, the 6 degrees of separation applies to you for puns, my friend."
so you can listen because people with harmony like to find that consensus. So you'll find that, and I hear your positivity coming in too as that jokester, right? The puns and I heard you talk about that when you were talking about Baltimore, right? So you're gonna bring in positivity and probably harmony together as you're helping to build consensus between groups. Do you find yourself doing that too quite often?
Oh yeah, usually pacemaker, because folks be like, yeah, like this guy's so unflappable in calm situations. It's like, well, yeah, yeah, life happens, and it's like, hey, you have to really adjust and adapt, and then you look at the big picture and realize, you know what, this small thing is just a small situation that could be a whole lot worse. So just keeping that perspective. So it's really all about perspective.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the word calm, which is very common that we see with people with harmony. They're just kind of like calm and even keeled, just don't, not much rocks their boat because they're always looking for consensus, right? You're always looking, you're that person in the middle that's going to help bring that consensus to the team, to the group. If there's a lot of conflict, and you're good at building a network between people that have differing thoughts and perspectives on things. So one thing I like to tell people, Dom, is that you have a balcony and a basement for each of your talents. So your balcony is like when you're just on fire and everything's just going great. We call it a help or a balcony. And that's for sure your, when we talked about your harmony, how you're bringing that consensus in, but it has a basement, and the basement is when it's a hindrance to us. So just like a superhero, you can turn these little buttons, styles, harmony, positivity, connectedness, input, relator, you can turn those up or down. And so what I train people is like, oh, I've got to go into this meeting, or I've got this thing I've got to get done on my action today. Which one am I going to turn up? and which one am I going to turn down? So harmony, you want to make sure if you see it going in its basement, which it can go in its basement if you don't deal with conflict, or, just kind of you don't share your feelings and your opinions, which is real important. So making sure you share those when you need to is going to be real important for you. And so we always, it's just how we talk to ourselves and what narrative we're saying in our lives all day, and what are the limiting beliefs we're walking around talking about that we shouldn't be saying, because these are life-giving, these are positive things that you have. So I love that you have harmony. And then connectedness, we haven't talked about. Connectedness is like, think of connectedness as like, you just got on an airplane and you're sitting next to me and we just have this great conversation, but we don't really know each other. And then we leave and go our separate ways. And you're going, yep, that was meant to be. That was just meant to be. And I might never see Dana again, but we had a great conversation. That was just meant to be. So connectedness accepts mystery. Does that sound like you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely like that. Connectedness accepts mystery.
Yeah. It's okay. You're okay with it. Everything happens for a reason. It's just there. And you have faith in the links of all things working together. So most people with connectedness like to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And you're just aware of the inherent mystery and unity that already exists between people. That's why I love that you have connectedness and you also have harmony that work pretty close together. Does that make sense?
Makes all the pennies.
Yeah. So you appreciate the mystery and you love it. That's your balcony. You're just really good at helping people accept that. So you just want to make sure that you're always, letting people see that. I think that's awesome. And then relator, we haven't talked about that either, but relator is the person. Do you have a lot of deep relationships with friends from junior high, high school, college that you still connect with?
Oh yeah, definitely. My closest friends are from middle school, and heck, even reconnected with a friend from elementary school a few years ago. So yeah, I still have those.
Yeah. So people typically, when I ask that question, people that have high relator are always keeping up those strong, small, with a few people, but strong relationships. You might not see them for a year, but you catch up and you go deep. And those are your people. And relators are great at really wanting to know more about each of the people in their circle, and wanting other people to know about them. And you also can have this amazing social depth and transparency, which is cool. So see, I'm getting to tell you all these things about you and your audience, that because they might have some of these as well. But I always like people to know what their unique talents are so that they can use them every day. And that's part of my mission, to help people as they birth their purpose and live it out every day. So are you feeling like you're getting to use these every day?
As you're going through them, it's starting to make sense indeed, and it makes perfect sense for a lot of it. Heck, even with this podcast and some of the array of folks that have been on the show, because sometimes listeners are like, all right, some of those folks you had in the show, Dom, like, I'm gonna skip that
Yeah.
to the next episode. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but you're good at gathering information and you're good at relating to your audience probably, and knowing, and then just bringing all of this, mystery in for them. So I would encourage you to get to know unlock your full 34 talents, so you know what 6 through 10 are, because there's a lot of them that you use every day. You probably don't even know what they are. So I encourage people to do that. So all you do is go to Gallup and unlock your full 34. And I think it's like $39 or something to do that. So, and that's why we want people to know their strengths and then live in their strengths every day. And once you live in your strengths, you're energized. So it becomes more about managing your energy every day instead of managing your time. Because when you look back at your calendar over the last couple of weeks, and if I had you put a square around things in your calendar that drained you, and put a circle around things in your calendar that gave you energy, 9 times out of 10, those things with the circle were things that were your talents, your top 5 strengths. And we want you living in those every day. So you've just gotten a kind of a glimpse of a coaching session or what it looks like when we help people understand what their strengths are. Today, I'm just like going through each of these talents with you. It's not as much as a coaching session. It's just kind of a learning about. And then you go into a coaching session, which is, okay, here's my talents, but I'm having trouble with this, or I'm having a challenge with this. And then we work through ways to overcome that challenge, managing time. And so I have a monthly live coaching group where people pop on and we talk about their, their strengths. We talk about what's a challenge, and we give them frameworks and things to do that help them be more productive and more energized at work every day. And then I also have the strengths journal, which is the daily journal you can do on your own. But any questions, or what's on your mind as you think about all this and you think about your audience? Is there any questions about strengths or how to use them, or anything that's come up today?
Definitely. Funny enough, as you mentioned, I just love the visual of the balcony in the basement. It's like the balcony's like, yeah, let's take in these stars,
Mm-hmm.
baby. Feel like I'm on top of the world. I'm
Mm-hmm.
the cream of the crop. I'm the whipped cream on the latte. It feels freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the basement where it's like, oh shit, I'm too freaking deep into strength. That's hindering me from
Mm-hmm.
procrastinating on other things. Because
Mm-hmm.
let's see, the input, yeah, definitely the input. Sometimes the input can actually get in the way of output, because I've been having this project I've been needing to complete for years. At least I feel like I need to complete it for years, where it's this book online course project for folks to start a podcasting, write a book of their own, and thus become a bookcaster. And it's just been more of me just finding ways to procrastinate on that
Yeah.
project, and barely getting a sentence in the darn Google Doc to get the project complete, and just focusing on more inputs. Like, oh yeah, I got an input for this upcoming guest. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah. So that's probably that's the biggest one that popped in my head with that one. So it makes
Yeah. Well,
perfect
so
sense.
we can talk about what happens though, Dom, when one of your talents goes in the basement. You can always pull something else up to help you get out. So let's talk about your project. It's Google project, right? Or a course project. So the number one challenge with input is they don't know when to stop gathering research. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what other talent of your 5 could you pull up? If we turn input off, it's time to get going. What's one of your other talents that can help you boost you to get this done? What do you think if you look at those?
I guess connectedness, maybe? That one just popped
Yeah.
in my head first.
Yeah. I think the connectedness would be great, because your connectedness is going to help you think about all the people that you can connect and you can help. And you want to spend time there in connectedness. And the cool thing for you, by the way, is go on to gallup.com and read about connectedness. Read about all the things about, study it. Study each of your top 5 talents, but you just believe there's few coincidences. So you need, and here's the thing, connectedness can connect parts into whole. So you probably see that you have this course in your head. We just need to get it to action. And so it's baby steps every day. It's not, oh, I'm going to write it all tomorrow. Like today, I would say use your connectedness and write that first, just 100 words, whatever it is. Write it today. And then tomorrow, write 100 words. And the next day, and just keep, and don't worry about perfection. And I think that's one of the things we do, Dom, as individuals, is we want it to be perfect. And you have got everything in your talent to make this happen. You just got to know which knob in your superpowers to turn off and to turn on. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense indeed. That's right
Yeah.
indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, she's a freaking master, y'all. She's a freaking master coach in the building, babe, with a big old certification that she's actually
Oh, thank
using,
you.
which is freaking amazing. So my goodness, so how did you get to this level? Did you have a coach in your life to help you to get to this point where you're helping to coach others?
Yeah, I was, like I said, I was at work at Southwest Airlines in marketing, started using this as a leader, and then I got certified. And then I was able to work with Gallup very closely as we developed a program across the company. And I think that's where I got a lot of my mentorship and talent from working with their coaches. And of course, I've always had a coach in my life, so that's real important because we can only coach ourselves so much that we always need somebody else to say, okay, this is what's going on with my strengths today. I need some help. I'm stuck, or I need help with this project. My husband knows his strengths, my daughter, my grandkids, we kind of already doing strength spotting. So it's not just for work, it's personal all the way around. So I've had some great mentors in my life and people help me as I've been on my strength journey. So it's been fun.
Ah, there we go. Fun on the bun indeed. That's right, fun on the bun indeed. So my goodness, that's freaking amazing with that wonderful career in Southwest Airlines. And now this new career, probably career number 300.
Yeah, it's like, well, I was there 25 years. So, and then I had it was a boomerang. So I came back and forth. I did marketing, went out and did some marketing. I started HR in the company, or actually in in-flight, and then moved into HR, which we call the people department. And then I went out and got my marketing experience and came back in the marketing department. So learned a lot about managing people, operations, customer experience, opening new markets. Baltimore was one of them. And learning that each of these communities have a culture. But I also learned a lot about why it's important to value each individual for who they are. And I think the strengths tool really does that. And so that's why I started my business almost 18 months ago as a consultant and got Gallup to license me to do the strengths journal so that people could do this daily and not just focus on trying to manage themselves without some help. So it's been a fun journey and love every minute of it, and helping companies, helping leaders, helping individuals.
Ah, there you go. All the helping hands, indeed. All the helping hands,
Yeah.
indeed. So, my goodness. So, since ideas are one of your main strengths, indeed, and you were able to come up with this wonderful journal and even get it certified by Gallup, like, how was that process like anyway? Because it wasn't because you're already certified with the company and you brought it to like the
No,
head cheese, or
no, I had read something this was about 4 years ago, and I knew that I had to start getting up earlier in the morning because remember I said we are where time comes from. And I knew I was built to do something more. I just didn't know what it was. So I went on this journey and started really doing a lot of personal development. And while I was in the middle of the journey, I was reading a book about designing your life. And I was like, wait a minute. Why isn't there a daily journal to help people with their strengths? So I started working on the idea, and just through my contacts at Gallup, said, is there somebody I can talk to in the licensing department about this? And I'd love to create this. Why haven't you guys done this yet? And they said, well, we've thought about it. We just haven't developed it yet. So, so I went to work and created it, spent a lot of time working on the look of it and the questions, probably about 2 years, and then submitted everything right during COVID. And, I was thinking that I knew I was going to go out on my own and coach. I just didn't know when. And then when COVID happened, I thought I need to stay with the company and help through. That was when all the planes were being grounded and things were changing and people were being asked to take a separation package. And I said, well, here's my opportunity. This is the opportunity for me to go out on my own. So I took that opportunity, and I had already been working on the journal for a couple of years at this point, and I had a couple of test groups of people. I had people at Southwest that had left Southwest in leadership roles that were either running their own businesses or working as leaders in other corporations. And they would hire me to come in. And I did that as a side hustle for a while, took some vacation days and would go and train their groups. So by the time I started my business, I had kind of a really good idea of what I wanted to do and who I wanted to serve. So it was pretty exciting.
There you go. Very exciting indeed. So, if your journal was a food item, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a good question. Mm, I'd say dessert, some kind of really fancy chocolate something, chocolate cakes, chocolate, whatever your favorite dessert is. Because I think when we know we're getting ready to have that really good dessert, we get excited about it. And there's this anticipation, and then you get to have it, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So I had never thought of it as a food item, but that's a good way to a piece of chocolate cake, piece of whatever chocolate or whatever your favorite dessert is. Think of it that way. What's your favorite dessert?
Oh, hey, wow. I got a couple of them, but I think it's definitely a cinnamon bun's my favorite one. Definitely, little
Cinnamon
cinnamon rolls.
bun. Okay, well, it's a cinnamon bun. It's a cinnamon bun for you then.
Yeah, that's right. So Dana's got chocolate, y'all. So you just found your
Chocolate.
perfect
Anything with
Valentine's
chocolate.
Day gift. Yeah.
Yes. Anything with chocolate.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. She's got the chocolate for y'all. She got chocolate for all those holidays, y'all. That's right. That strength chocolate. This chocolate's been to the gym, y'all. That's right.
Yeah, we got to work out because we eat chocolate. That's right.
Oh man. So since you've been on these podcasts recently promoting the work that you're doing to help out a bunch of wonderful folks around the globe, especially companies, is there a question that you wish you be asked more often when you're on the guest side of the game on these podcasts?
I think the biggest question that I like to ask people is to what is your, do you know your purpose? And if you don't know your purpose, then that's the work that we do. We help you first know your strengths. Once you know your strengths and your core values, then we help you build out your purpose statement. And I had a gentleman, it's one of my customers, recently sell his business, and he said it was because he was able to crystallize his purpose. And he's got several businesses going, but he was able to sell one of his big products to a big company. And that was a win for me to watch him go through the process and to build his purpose statement, to use it, his one-liner every time he talks about what he does. And that's what we train for. And so if you don't know your purpose and you're in your 20s, this is a great time to be thinking about that. Even if you're in your 30s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s. My mom just got her degree at SMU here in Dallas, and she's 85. So it's never too late to learn. She had learner, she had input too, Dom. So her purpose, at her 80th birthday was that she had not finished her degree and she wanted to get her degree. She had, had a family and done a lot of other things, but never got that degree. So when you think about your big dream that you want to achieve, I want you to think about that, but I want you to think about right below it, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? That tells us a lot. That tells us, got a limiting belief there of the reason why you haven't accomplished that, because it's something that either somebody said to you or that you're saying to yourself. So we need to get rid of that limiting belief. And the way we do that is focus on your strengths and focus on what you're good at and how you can achieve that goal. It's just like we talked about you getting your course launched. It's like which strengths, what knobs are we going to turn up and which knobs are we going to turn down? So I think that's the biggest thing is I want people to birth their purpose and live in their strengths every day. And there's so much more value. People want to feel valued and they want to feel like they're making an impact. So I equip people to transform their lives from the inside out. And it's knowing those strengths and how you're talking to yourself. So what do you think? I see you shaking your head.
Sounds like you got a new moniker, the Purpose Doula. There you go.
There you go. See, I love how you can just name it really quickly. The Purpose Doula. That's it. That's a good name. I like that. Yeah, that's a good one. You're good with words. I guess you've heard that before.
I give it a good old college try.
There you go. That's right. See, it's all that input, right?
There we go.
That's
That's right.
awesome.
The PD that everybody needs. The Purpose Doula, Dana Williams. There you go. That's right, indeed. That's right.
That's
The
great.
DW's got you covered. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in 2022, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, wow. So a lot of people for 2022, if I'm in my 20s, I am going to be thinking about what can I innovate to help others be their best selves every day. And what you're going to see right now, and we've seen it over, and I've seen 3 or 4 recessions and COVID and all that, is you're either going to retreat and go watch Netflix and eat chocolate, or you're going to go build something that's going to help the world. And you can decide. So in my 20s, I'm not going to retreat and go home. I'm going to go out there and build something new for people that they need.
There you go, folks. That's right. Don't retreat, y'all, unless you're going to a retreat. Build something,
That's
y'all.
right.
That's right.
Build something. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things going on in the world, and this is your opportunity to build something new and help others and not retreat.
Oh, yeah. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. You heard that right, folks. So Dana could use a chocolate statue of herself. Go ahead and build it. That's right. That's right.
Chocolate statue. That's funny.
Don't worry, it could be you holding the strengths journal.
There, that's right. It's like the Statue of Liberty, right?
Except it's the Statue of Purpose.
Statue of Purpose. There you go. There you go. That's right. I love it. I love it. And see, that'll help you too as you're working on getting your course done, is when you know your purpose, it helps you push through to get things done. Here's my purpose. I'm going to get through the hard stuff. I'm going to get through all that hard stuff because this is what I'm here to do. And it helps motivate you, boost you. So I want to hear all about your course done when you get that done.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I got to put on the blue collar and say, get her done, indeed. That's right, indeed. Get her done, indeed. And for those who are, once they reach the done phase of this interview and they need to follow you on all the social medias and keep up with all the stuff that you're doing, especially when you decide to write a full book with the Dana Williams story, what's the best way for folks to do so?
Yeah. So my website is danawilliamsco.com. And then I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, Dana Williams Consulting, and Instagram, Dana Williams Consulting. So you can reach me at any of those places. I also have a podcast as well called Dominate Your Day. So feel free to come on over there and check us out and learn more about strengths as well. And you can get the Strengths Journal at thestrengthsjournal.com. So there you go.
Yeah, folks, that's right, indeed. If you want to find your purpose, if you haven't found it already, and get those metaphorical 8-pack abs, Dana's got you covered. She'll help you dominate, baby. She'll help you dominate your day. That's right, indeed. Dominate your day today.
That's right.
That's right, indeed. No matter what day it is, heck, even if it's a Sunday, with all the.
That's right. And thank you for being here on a Saturday. Yeah, we're here on a Saturday morning, which is unusual for both of us, I think. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, that's right, indeed. Got to thank the wonderful Tom Jones, indeed. So any parting words before we close up shop, Dana?
I just say, live in your strengths, dominate your day, and transform your life. If you want to transform life, it's up to you. You can do it. So, and I'm here to be your guide. But thank you for having me. Thank you for this time together, Dom. Thank you for letting me talk to you about your strengths. It was fun to share that with you.
Thanks a bunch for sharing some of your time out of your day to listen to the Going North podcast. I would be really honored if you head over to the website goingnorthpodcast.com and share this episode with someone that you care about. Have a great rest of your day and keep advancing north to your greatness.